Well, hello there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Two Sons Podcast. Yes, I am back, and I am better than ever. My name is Joe. I am the host of Two Sons Podcast. You might recognize my face. You might recognize my voice. If I take off the glasses, you'll definitely recognize my face. But yes, with all seriousness, I have been sick. I have been having a lot of things going on recently. That's kind of the reasoning I'm a little late to do an episode myself or join my brother. I apologize for the lack of episodes and lack of collaboration with my brother, but I'm going to put out a couple of solo episodes for you guys. I got four coming up, and today we're going to be doing one on one of those posters back there. I don't know if you can guess which one it is. It is probably the most recent movie on this list, so I'll give you a second to figure out which one that is. Seconds up. It's gonna be Barbie. All right. This is a long-awaited, episode for you guys. This is a long-awaited episode I've been wanting to talk about. It's a long-awaited movie that I'm sure a lot of people have been wanting to talk about and discuss. But with that being said, this might be a little shorter of an episode. It might be a little longer. I'm actually trying out this thing from Anchor, or podcasters now, excuse me, as it's called, that we do our podcast through, which is owned by Spotify, and it's called Riverside. Excuse the glare in my glasses. I guess I get a glare from the screen because I have my light on in the background. You see a little bit of my setup in the background. I got that cool little stuffy the other day at Burlington. It's like supposed to be Mike Wazowski's food. I don't know. Got the TMNT poster back there. Got my other posters back there. Excuse my little messy bed and little messy setup, but I got a couple of things over there as well. Excuse me. But with that being said, with the Oscars going on recently and all the award seasons pretty much over for the year of film in 2023, this episode is going to focus on one of the biggest blockbusters hits of the last century, the last year. One of the biggest film directed by a woman. The biggest film, I'm sure, that's full of pink, and the biggest film competing with Oppenheimer for the box office summer, which was Greta Gerwig's Barbie. So I want to get into a little bit about just the Oscars and a little bit of news that's been going on. I'm going to do a separate episode on the Oscars, but I'm going to mention it now. I'm not going to give you any spoilers right off the bat for the Oscars, but I will mention some of it during this discussion because it's a heavy topic in terms of the Oscars and Barbie. But Oscars winners went pretty as expected. There were a couple snubs, there were a couple controversies, and there were definitely a lot of great moments and a lot of moments. But with that being said, I want to give this movie the praise it deserves, and I want to give a shout out to all of our female viewers, and just all of our viewers in general. If you enjoyed this movie, but I believe this movie definitely impacted women, greatly in the world, not only just in the States but across the world. This movie is very important, and I will get into that. And me myself, I really enjoyed this movie, and I plan on watching it over and over and over again. But with that being said, let's get in and let's talk about it. All right. So I'm gonna pull up a couple of things on my screen here. So I'm sorry if I'm not necessarily looking at you guys. But as we know, Barbie came out in the summer. It pretty much this in Barbenheimer. It came out July 21st, 2023. It's PG-13, and it was directed by Greta Gerwig, and it crossed 1.45 billion at the global box office. Now that is an insane number because 500 million's a lot, a billion's a lot, almost $2 billion, making it one of the highest grossing movies of all time. If they re-release it, it'll definitely keep on going up. But I am somebody who did work this film, and what an experience it was. I will say one of the things I really enjoyed about this film is just what it brought to the theaters. So that's very broad, right? But if you are on TikTok or Instagram or X or Twitter, even YouTube or whatever, you might watch these people that go to premieres, dressed up as characters, mainly Marvel, DC, superhero, big movies such as that, right? People do it at theaters, big theaters, go to an IMAX or a Dolby screening or whatever, right? And they go and they watch, and dress up in costume and get together and take pictures and all that. It happened with Star Wars at my theater, happened with Spider-Man, it happened with a couple other Marvel and DC movies, but not as big. And Barbie was the biggest turnout I ever saw for people dressing up. Not necessarily as characters, not necessarily as Barbies or Kens. We had a Barbie booth. A lot of AMC's had Barbie booths, the actual Barbie box that you could take a picture in. It was such a great picture opportunity. We had our little thing for Barbie and Oppenheimer just because of the season, but for that first 3 weeks to a month of this film, pink, 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 pink across the lobby. And you know what? At first I was like, oh my goodness, what is with all this pink? But then I'm like, this is, it's crazy and it's amazing. And a lot of people will sit and think of this movie as something else. Why is this so important? It's not to be taken seriously and stuff. And everybody can have their own opinion, but I'm gonna share my opinion on it and why I think it's a really great film, and it's important to a lot of people. And even if the messages may seem unserious to some people, there are serious messages in there that I'll get to. And the biggest thing that I always talk about with the movies is the people there, and the guests and who you interact with. And everybody coming in pink were families, mainly moms and daughters, but you had moms, grandmothers, daughters. It's a beautiful sight to see. You had full friend groups, you had couples, you had everybody, you name it. And it's just wonderful that they come out and they're like, oh, can you take a picture of us? I absolutely love that. Taking a picture of these, 10, 40-year-old women dressed in pink that so happy to see a movie, That's amazing to me. That is what movies are. That is why movies are so important to people. Excuse me, I'm gonna take a sip out of my TMNT cup. Dollar Tree, ladies and gentlemen. Got some nice Coke Zero in there. That's from BJ's. Not the cup, but the Coke. Okay, excuse me. So again, a phenomenal turnout. And theaters packed pretty much the whole month. Excuse me. You cannot go a weekend. You cannot pretty much go any day of the week without this movie being full. Unfortunately, this was a film I did not get to see in theaters, which is a loss, and I'm sure I'll be able to check it out in theaters myself, later on. But this is a film I actually saw on, I believe Max. It's out on. You can go watch it, and I'm not sure what I expected going in. I saw a lot on TikTok about this film, from mainly female creators explaining the importance of Barbie, and basically, they would stitch a lot of videos, or they make videos, and a lot of men would comment on it, and a lot of people would comment on it, and they basically would say, this is why. Mainly when that comedian at I forgot which award show, but he was making fun of Barbie's, competing with Oppenheimer, and pretty much everybody said that is exactly why Barbie was made, and that shows the importance of it. And again, a lot of people can debate this is it's a movie about toys. What is so important about it? There are a lot of movies out there that may be about something quote unquote simple, but have a big message. And I don't necessarily think this is a simple movie. I don't know what anybody honestly expected from this film when it first got announced. It's a Barbie movie. We were being told Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling were going to be in it. So, okay, awesome, amazing. That was something that, okay, two of the biggest stars, known. What's gonna happen with them? What's this film gonna be like? We were waiting for the first trailers, waiting for the first teaser images. We got those teaser posters. Okay, like whoa, this looks pretty interesting. It looks like Barbie. I guess everybody assumed the live action Barbie would look like. This would be it. But something very important to this movie that made this movie is the cast, and pretty much it's just Barbie and Kens. But the importance of those Barbie and Kens are pretty extraordinary, and I'm going to go into the cast list a little bit right now. Obviously, we got Margot and Ryan as the leads. Both played their part beautifully. I'll get into it a little more. But what I want to talk about is a couple of different Barbies, right? So, Issa Rae, she played President Barbie, phenomenal. Kate McKinnon, she played Weird Barbie, I believe her name was. Again, phenomenal. Alexander Shipp, I think she played like Scientist Barbie or Nobel Peace Prize Barbie. Amazing as well. And Emma McKay, she was great. And Sharon Rooney. Those are the ones that really stood out for me, and the rest of the company and cast was great as Barbies as well. Then let's get a little bit into the Kens. So obviously we got Simu Liu, who's been, ever since Shang-Chi and things here and there. He was great. I liked his role. Kingsley Ben Adir, he was in he was in the latest Bob Marley biopic, and he's in other projects coming up. He was great as well. We even had Georgina in there. We had one of the most surprising cast members, I believe, was Michael Cera as Alan. Now, what I loved about Michael Cera, and I'll get into his character a little more, is he wasn't Ken, he was Alan, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. Then we have two of the shining stars of this film, American Ferrera as pretty much one of the humans, being Gloria, and Ariana Greenblatt, who is a phenomenal up-and-coming female actress, young teen star who played her daughter. And then we have probably more of the two more of the characters that pretty much aren't dolls. We have Helen Mirren as a narrator, who beautiful in her role. I enjoyed it so much, and we have Wolf Ferrell as the Mattel CEO, hilarious as always. So, with that being said, why am I gonna go into talking about Alan? Why am I gonna go and talk about these humans and these dolls and stuff and what makes it so important? So before I get into that, give you a little rundown of Barbie, alright? Obviously, basic synopsis of the film is we have Barbie, normal Barbie, which is quote unquote, Margot Robbie, wakes up, shows average day in Barbie land. Everything's perfect, everything's routine, everything's normal, nothing is going wrong there. It's the perfect world and the perfect life. And obviously it starts to go wrong. Her, instead of standing, like she was in heels regularly, she has flat feet. She starts thinking about dying, which is like, whoa, what, that's, toys don't do that. We're not supposed to do that. We don't die. And everybody is freaking out, And we have, this eventually leads her to go to Weird Barbie, but in between that we get the introduction of the Kens, right? The main thing is, especially on the poster, it says, she's everything, he's just Ken, right? So we start off seeing Kens are just there for the Barbies, right? Not necessarily accessories, but obviously we know Ken was made for Barbie. Barbie came first, Ken was made for Barbie. And we have Ryan Gosling's Ken trying so hard to get Margot Robbie's Barbie to fall in love. Not really working, right? So when we go to Margot Robbie's Barbie, she goes to Kate McKinnon, which is like the weird Barbie that knows about the real world, right? She tells her, you gotta do all this stuff, you gotta go to the real world. Because the girl that played with you, your doll, or you as a doll, I guess, I don't really know how to phrase that, she's not believing, she's going through something, and we see Ariana Greenblatt's character, who's a teenager, I presume, either in 8th, 9th grade, I think somewhere around there, I'm not sure, who obviously during that time, you're getting rid of your toys, you're getting rid of your dolls, she's very sad. Excuse me, I'm still getting over being sick, so I apologize if I cough a couple of times. She's still getting over being sick, right? Excuse me. She's she's over the world, so to speak. There's not a lot of positive things going on. She thinks a certain way about this. She feels a certain way about her mom, and we get introduced to American Ferrera's character. Phenomenal as well. I really enjoyed her character. Gave one of the best line deliveries and monologues in the film, by the way. But we'll get into that later. We get introduced to her character, and we see she works as, I believe, a receptionist or somebody at Mattel, and she is designing Barbies that are, quote unquote, not the status quo, not the normal Barbie, Barbies that think about death, or these different types of Barbies that aren't a normal Barbie. And then we find out that she was the one that played with Barbie. That was Barbie's owner. So then we have them go on this venture, go back to Barbie Land, and when Barbie and Ken come into the real world, Ken sees, oh my god, this is a world dominated by men. Why am I letting the Barbies take over? Let me take this information about horses and, rock and stuff, and take it back to Barbie world and, make it Ken. And that's where we get Kenergy, and that's where we get, I'm Just Ken. Phenomenal, by the way. Killed it, all of them. And even though it may seem like a funny thing, it becomes a serious message in the film. And the biggest thing about this film is, it's hard for me to say from my perspective, because, again, I haven't lived the same lives as other people. But this film is, from what I decipher, is Barbie is showing, I would say, toxic masculinity, and showing, what women go through, day to day, and how their lives are and how they're expected to be. And I believe Barbie plays into that perfectly, because they talk about perfection and what you're supposed to do, and this is the perfect life you're supposed to live. And whether or not times have changed or stuff, a lot of people still are treated that way, a lot of people still may feel that way, and a lot of people are still told that way. And it's kind of what we see with the CEO of Mattel, where he's telling Barbie to get back in her box. And when we see Barbie go into the real world, we see her get pretty much harassed by the men. And we see Ken being like, oh, this is great, obviously, because it's favoring him more than it would favor Barbie. And I don't think these messages are necessarily subtle, but I don't think they are thrown in the face in the way that a lot of people are perceiving them. I think this is still a fun movie, and it gets its point across beautifully. But with that being said, that kind of brings me to the character, Michael Cera's character of Alan. Who is Alan? Why is he there? Why is he not a Ken? Why is he not a Barbie? What doll is he? What is his purpose there? A lot of people say Alan is the one guy that understands the Barbies, and that is how a lot of people perceive men and women's dialogue back and forth, and how they view each other, and that you get very few that actually understand and agree with the Barbies, and that is Michael Cera's character Alan. And what I love is that he helps the Barbies. He tries to act a certain way towards the Kens, maybe because he wants to blend in with them or whatever. But he's there pretty much, showing that he's a rare person, to the Barbies. All the Kens are the same. This is, a rare thing. And again, of course, I can't speak to the message, because I don't think this film hit me, or will ever hit me the same way it will, to some of our maybe female audience members. And I would love everybody's opinions on this film, of course, but I would definitely love to hear from you guys about what you thought about this film, and if this was an important film. Because again, I believe film, movies, TV shows, animes, whatever it is, even shorts, they can show a message that are so important to people. I went over this with Elemental heavily. I absolutely adore Elemental. It's me and my girlfriend's favorite film, or at least one of our favorite films, because it shows the message that is our relationship, life that we live and that we continuously live. And people may think that's a kid's movie about elements. What the hell is so important about it? People are acting the way towards Barbie. It's a toy movie about Barbies. How are you talking about women in the world? How are you talking about toxic masculinity? That's unfortunate, because again, whether or not people agree there's a message in the film, or whether or not whatever, this movie is made for people to enjoy. If you don't enjoy it and you don't like something about it, don't talk about it. You can give your review and state your review, but don't argue with somebody about it. If a woman or somebody is in the in your comments, or making a review on TikTok or Instagram, or having a conversation with you, telling you the importance of this film, that this film was a film they were waiting for, and you're like, I just don't get it. I just watched it for Ken. That's cool, okay, but let's not argue about it. That's not worth it. Again, if I'm going to sit there with somebody and talk about Elemental and how important it is to me, and they're like, that's stupid, I'd be like, to me it's not. But if you want to think that way, be my guest, and then walk away. Let's not create an argument over this. Let's just enjoy the film for what it is. And if you don't enjoy the film, films aren't made for everyone. It's to me, again, this film is made for a specific audience, and I think it caters to them beautifully. And again, that's where Greta Gerwig comes in. Now, I will say, I do have my opinions on certain actresses, and the director, Greta Gerwig, for the Oscars, right? So the two biggest snubs that were talked about when the first Oscar list came out was Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie not being on there. Now, technically, Margot Robbie, I believe, was on there as producer or some part. Barbie was nominated for Best Film, but Greta Gerwig did get snubbed for Best Director. Now, I will tell you, I will go to my list of Oscar-nominated directors. Excuse me. And we have Christopher Nolan, Justin Truett, Martin Scorsese, Yorgos Lanthimos, Jonathan Glazer. This is a tough category. I believe Justin Truett probably could have been changed for Greta Gerwig, but that's just my opinion. Do I believe Greta Gerwig should have been nominated? Yes, I do. Um, Whether or not you agree that this movie was important or has a deep message, there's no doubt this movie made a difference in the box office. There's no doubt this movie made a big difference in the summer. There's no doubt this movie made a big difference in film, in this genre. It it changed a lot for a lot of people. And when a film impacts a lot of people like that, whether or not you agree with it, I believe that, and especially with a lot of people talking about it, I think it's shocking that she was not nominated. She's a phenomenal director. I think she's gonna get her shot again. I don't know what her next project is. I'm excited to see it. Even if she was nominated, unfortunately, I still believe she wouldn't have won, just because I believe there is one director on there who was a very acclaimed director, has been, and it has been snubbed before, and this probably was the biggest chance to get the Oscar. But I do believe that Greta Gerwig should have been nominated, but I'm sure there's a time again. But that is my opinion on the matter. Now, with Margot Robbie as Best Actress, for the nominations of Best Actress, we have, we have Emma Stone, Annette Bening, Lily Gladstone, Sandra Huller, Carey Mulligan. I'm sure, again, I'm not sure exactly who. It's probably between two. Somebody else could have been switched out. Margot Robbie could have been there. But she's a phenomenal actress. She will get nominated again. Do I believe she would have won? I honestly am not sure. I would have to go and watch all the movies again to really give my opinion. I wish they could have added them. But unfortunately, it didn't go there. But we did see some Barbie love as well at the Oscars, with some nominations and some winners as well. With the two biggest nominations from Barbie was American Ferrera for Best Supporting Actress. And a lot of people were saying, why was she nominated? She only had one good quote unquote monologue, right? A lot of people could say the same thing about supporting actresses in the last couple Oscars. The biggest thing, a lot of people were upset about Angela Bassett not winning Best Supporting Actress at the last Oscars. A lot of people were upset that Jamie Lee Curtis won. I think Stephanie Hsu should have won, because, again, I believe Angela Bassett, she is a phenomenal actress, one of the best out there. But I believe in Wakanda Forever, she had a great monologue, one of the best scenes in that film, and she had a good rest of the film. She was phenomenal as always. America Ferrera, she had a great monologue in this film, had a good rest of the film, like she normally does in her projects. I don't think she's on par with Angela Bassett, but I think the roles were similar in terms of how they were portrayed. Again, Wakanda Forever is not the same as Barbie, of course not, and the weight on the two is definitely not the same. I'm not saying that here. But what I am saying is it kind of reminded me of it, so I just wanted to mention that. Do I believe that she should have won the Oscar? Spoiler alert, she didn't win the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. I do believe the winner was deserving of it, and this was a hard category. We have Davine Joy Randolph, Emily Blunt, Danielle Brooks, America Ferrera, Jodie Foster, all phenomenal in their roles. I honestly could have seen this going a lot of different ways. She could have won, but since this is not the people and this is the Academy, I'm not surprised, somebody else won, of course. Now, another one that is definitely big was, Best Original Song. And there were actually two from Barbie that was nominated, so it looks like it could have went either way. But what is very interesting to me is we have five here, right? So we have What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish and Phineas, Fire Inside, Flaming Hot, I'm Just Ken, Barbie, It Never Went Away, American Symphony, Wazazi, Killers of the Flower Moon, obviously phenomenal. I love the culture and I love different heritage in there. A lot of people are saying if I'm Just Ken doesn't win, it's rigged because I'm Just Ken is what everybody remembered from Barbie. That's true. I'm Just Ken is what everybody remembered from Barbie because it's catchy. It's a pumped up song that's going to get you going. A lot of singers and a lot of shows have a pumped up song that will get people going. Does it mean it's the best song of the film? Maybe, maybe not. I enjoy this song a lot. Again, I'm just Ken. I think every guy sung it. I think everybody sung it. It's an iconic moment, and it's gonna go down in film as an iconic moment and an iconic song. And I love Ryan Gosling in this, and I love the Kens. I love the dance. I love everything about it. And then we have, spoiler alert, the winner of Best Original Song, "What Was I Made For" by Billie Eilish and Phineas O'Connell. First of all, both phenomenal. Phineas, amazing. Billie Eilish, amazing. This song is a beautiful song. Whether or not you agree that if this should have won, I believe it should have won. I can argue that yes, the song from Killers of the Flower Moon should have won as well, but again, we can only get one winner. It's very hard in the Academy makes the decisions from what I understand. So why is this song so important? Why do I think it does? Why did I think it deserved the one? One, again, we have to talk about really what this movie was made for, why it's so important. It's in the title of the song. What was I made for? We have that. We have it at the end of the film when Helen Mirren is talking to Barbie, and Barbie is questioning what is her existence, what is the whole point, what does she want to do? Does she want to give up the quote unquote perfect life and live a life where she knows going to end? Everybody in the world lives that life every day. Our lives are going to be over at one point. You know, what are we made for? What is our purpose? You know, but it's beautiful that we get to live a life where we can have a purpose. And I think that is one of the biggest episodes. Excuse me, one of the biggest themes of the film is a lot of people are, you know, blessed to live a life where where we can serve a purpose. And Barbie, she didn't, and now she had the chance but it's a world where she doesn't know if she wants to do it, but she's gonna take that chance. And just, it plays into the film wonderfully. Billie Eilish is a phenomenal singer, and she just sings it similar how she did in, what was it, James Bond, I believe she won the last Oscar for. It fit the tone of that perfectly. It fit the tone of this perfectly. Phineas was amazing in it as well. It made sense. She deserved the win. You could fight me on Dan. I'm Just Ken should have won. Listen, I love the song, but for Best Original Song and what it meant and how and when I think of this film, honestly, Billie Eilish's song comes up first. Even though, yes, honestly, both these songs are on the list as they both come at the same time for me. Which one is more impactful? Billie Eilish's song, and a lot of people say, "Oh, it's not about what's more impactful. It's about what you remember." Yeah, you can argue more people remember I'm Just Ken, but also I look at things in more of a emotional way and more of, overall film and what this meant. And I believe What Was I Made For portrays it beautifully. And again, I feel like you just can't top Billie Eilish in that aspect along with Phineas. And that's why I believe it did deserve that win. So, with that being said, I believe those are the only two. There was not many nominations for Barbie, unfortunately. Let me just go through the list real quick. We do not have. Oh wow, Guardians of the Galaxy got nominated for VFX. We did get costume design for Barbie as well. I didn't think it was gonna win, but that's a very interesting category. We did get production design, so we do have, I believe, 4 overall category. No, excuse me, 5 overall categories right now. Let's see. Yeah, so we have 5 categories for the Oscars that Barbie was nominated for, and they didn't win any of them. Am I surprised? Yes. Oh wait, no, sorry, they won one of them. My bad. So I'm glad that they won one of them. And I believe that Ryan Gosling's performance at the Oscars is a memorable one and one of the best moments of the last Oscars, by far. It was so much fun, and it's so much fun in the film as well. And he's going to go down in history as Ken. Margot Robbie is going to go down in history as Barbie. But obviously they are both phenomenal actors and actresses outside of being Barbie and Ken. But I believe they were cast perfectly. And one of the reasons I believe this film works so well is because of the cast. Again, it's a massive cast. Focuses on a couple of characters, but all the Barbies, all the Kens, amazing. And again, standouts for me are American Ferrera, our Ariana Greenblatt, who is doing phenomenal right now. And our American Ferrera and Ariana Greenblatt as mother and daughter, it worked perfectly for me. Their dynamic was funny. Their dynamic was serious. Once they got back to Barbie world, it played phenomenally. Margot Robbie, beautiful in her dialogue. Ryan Gosling, perfect as Ken. Will Ferrell, funny. Helen Mirren, beautiful as a narrator and beautiful in her scenes as well. There are a lot of positives and there are a lot of negatives. There actually aren't a lot of negatives about this film, but in my opinion, there are more positives than negatives. And the biggest negative about this film, I have to say, is the human world, so to speak. So when they get to the human world in this film, it loses a little bit of my interest. The best part is showing American Ferrera's character and Ariana Greenblatt's character. But other than that, it kind of just takes away from the rest of the film. Obviously, I know it's important. The next best part I really enjoy in terms of the human world is Helen Mirren's character and Margot Robbie's character. As her being the quote-unquote creator of Barbie, especially towards the end of the film, and I'll get into that in a little bit. The biggest thing about this film and why I wanted to talk about it is, not because I want to tell anybody, something else. I watched this film. I want to talk about it. I want to give you my honest review on it. And, I want to tell you guys, this is one of the biggest films, of the summer. One of the biggest films of last year. One of the biggest films in years. And it deserves to be talked about. And, I didn't see Oppenheimer. My brother saw Oppenheimer, so he couldn't talk about it with me. I believe my grandparents watched this film. They didn't really understand it. It wasn't for them, which is fine. And then, I had coworkers that watched Barbie, and it's amazing for them. And I watched Barbie, and I enjoyed it. It's not amazing for me, but again, I believe this film was for a certain audience, and it nailed it on the head with that. And with that being said, a lot of people talk about the ending, right? This whole film, obviously, we want, and kind of towards this middle of the film, we have, obviously, Barbie's trying to get back Barbie Land from the Kens, because the Kens turned into something that it shouldn't have been. And with this being said, they didn't just turn it back for them. They turned it back and they made it where it was a world where both Barbies and Kens lived the same life, and they lived together. Not just Barbie and Ken's there, and not just Ken's there, and not just Ken and Barbie's there. Seeing that, it was funny. Some of the fight scenes were amazing, especially between the Kens. But again, the messages were there. And when we got towards the end, where once Barbie Land is reclaimed, then Barbie's like, okay, perfect, I get what I want back. And then now we have this dilemma of her, wanting to live a life and wanting to make those decisions. And again, what was I made for? What is her purpose? Is she just gonna live as a Barbie forever? What is her purpose? And this is where we get to one of the best scenes of the film besides American Ferrera's monologue. Right? So, this scene is between Helen Mirren's character, the narrator, who's the creator of Barbie in this film, and Margot Robbie. And she's discussing, what do I do? I don't understand. This is where the song "What Was I Made For" comes in. And again, this is where the question of the song is asked. What was I made for? I don't know what to do about my life. I don't know how I can make decisions. I'm scared. How do I do it? And this moment resonated in a part of me when it came to deciding what I want to do for my life. I think everybody has that point where they can relate to this exact moment. Maybe not necessarily as a woman, but necessarily as, what the hell are we made for? What purpose do we serve? What purpose do I serve, Do I live to work? Do I live to live? Am I meant to be a teacher? Am I meant to be a construction worker? Am I meant to be a garbage man? Am I meant to be a postal worker? Am I meant to be a movie theater worker? Am I meant to be a director? Am I meant to be an actor? What are we meant for? What purpose does our life serve? But I feel this was really strong for, obviously, the women in film as well, especially coming off of American Ferrera's dialogue. But we get to this, and this is where Barbie, somebody who quote-unquote lived the perfect life, decides, I'm going to give up what I have. I'm willing to, I don't want to sound dramatic when I say it, but she's willing to die, because Helen Mirren's character is like, you won't live forever, Barbie, you will now have the lifespan of a human, average 75, 80 years, maybe 90 if we're lucky, right? kind of like in Eternals when Sprite gave up her you know, eternal ability, I guess I would say, where now she, is going to live more of a life because she knows it's going to end. And that is the beauty of it in the scene as well. And we get to the end of the film, right? Everything, obviously turns out, pretty good. And it ends where, and I believe it was a funny scene. A lot of people, like, this is stupid, what is this? And the scene is, Barbie, the American Forever and Ariana Greenblatt's characters are preparing Barbie to go in and do this thing. And she's like, I'm here for my gynecologist appointment. And some people are like, that's fucking stupid. And I'm like, it's funny to me. And a lot of people are like, oh, what, that seems like a cheap joke. It's, not funny. And again, the biggest thing on it is if you don't get it, you don't get it. And if it's not funny, it's not funny to you. But also, this is something that she's never done before. If you go to the doctor and you get a shot, or if you're going to get some medical procedure, if you're just going to do the simple thing of maybe speaking in front of people, which is it's simple to me, but it's not simple to everybody. You're going to be jittery about it. Again, the interesting thing about this as well is she never got to do that. Essentially, even though she was a quote unquote woman character, no, she was just a Barbie. It wasn't the same. So it didn't make sense to some people, but I thought I got it. I understood it. And then backtracking. I know I'm a little all over the place, but I don't like reading off of scripts or anything. And this is how I like to talk about films. Let me know if you enjoy the way I talk about films too, by the way. American Ferrer's monologue. This is where she's in Barbie Land, and she's talking about what it's like to be a woman. And this is a very important scene, one of the, if not the most important scene of the film, right? And a lot of people are saying like they're just they're shoving it down your throat at that point. Listen, again, if you don't like the film, don't go and see it. If you don't like it, leave a review. You're allowed to leave a review, but okay, don't watch it ever again. Nobody's gonna hate on you for that. There are people. Why am I gonna sit in a 3.5-hour film about the making of the atomic bomb? Why? I'm not shitting on Oppenheimer, but again, it's a movie about an atomic bomb. What? That's not interesting to people. Same with Napoleon. That's not interesting to all people. But again, if they don't want to see it, they don't want to see it. If you don't want to see Barbie, then don't see Barbie. If you want to hate on it, go ahead, leave a review. You shouldn't hate on things, just for the sake of hating on things. If you want to give your opinion, give your opinion. But again, that dialogue is made to be pretty clear. It's 2024, people, and stupid stuff is still happening to people these days. And this is an important monologue. And again, American Ferrera's character does it phenomenally. Again, she talks about, because she's a mother in this film, and it's a shame to see her with her daughter, and her daughter essentially hates her and has no relation with her. I can imagine, obviously I'm not a mother or anything, or a parent, besides my, two turtles over there, Sol and Luna. Love them, by the way. But I'm not a parent like that. And, I can't imagine what it's like with that. And she's talking about the standards she has. That's, she works at Mattel, the company that makes Barbies. It's, again, she wants to do these things, creative standards and, freedoms and stuff, but she doesn't. And, how it's very hard in the universe to exist as that. And I'm not going to get into the whole monologue. Look it up yourselves. I'm sure it's on YouTube. If not, watch the film. But again, I'm sure every woman that was watching it, whether you're a young girl, whether you're a teenager, whether you're a young mother, whether or not you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, I guarantee it can resonate with you. A lot of people can look up to this. A lot of people can reflect on things that have happened with this just one monologue. Why is it so important? And a lot of people say, again, shit on it, but we can go back and argue. We have a monologue in Oppenheimer where, I didn't see the film, but he's talking about, kind of like how I mentioned in Wakanda Forever. He has a beautiful monologue, from what I know, about, what he has created. Again, that's a very important part of the film. This, similar, not obviously in the, film or whatever, but similar concept in terms of this is a very important part of the film, and this is what Greta Gerwig wants to get through to you guys, wants to get through to the audience. And she put this in a Barbie movie that seems pretty simple to the eye. It's about Barbie and Ken. she put a general message of, hey, sexism exists, or these things exist, and it's sad, and people still go through it. She's not shaming people, she's not like picking out anybody's particular. And if it upsets you, then I'm sorry, but then you're probably one of the people that should be doing better. And I will say that again. I was brought up to respect people. Respect people. Men, women, everybody else including. If you get offended by that, one, you could leave the podcast, because again, this space is for everybody to just enjoy and have fun. Films, movies, and entertainment is open to everybody, and they have messages that maybe aren't meant for everybody. This film is meant for a certain group of people. Don't criticize that group of people because of it, because you are proving the point of the film. And that's the biggest thing that I saw with this film, is everybody talked about it. I even had old people that were tired of seeing this or tired of seeing that, and it's like, I don't get it. Okay, cool, you don't get it. That's kind of the point of the film. This isn't for everybody to get. This is for people to resonate with. A lot of people resonate with maybe a certain sci-fi film, or again, I resonate with Elemental. A lot of people would be like, it was a stupid movie. It was poorly written, you don't get the message, whatever. I look at this movie and I see my life, I see my relationship, I see my partner, it resonates with me, it's important to me. This movie, a lot of people see maybe their own experiences. Maybe they've had a similar monologue or dialogue. Who knows, And again, I'm just another podcaster talking about it. I'm sure a lot of people talked about this movie, and I know I'm very late to the game. But what I want to say is that this was a great film. It had a lot of laughs. It had a lot of heart. It made you tear up at certain points. It made me tear up. That monologue was beautiful. The monologue at the end was beautiful. There's a lot of scenes in this movie that hit, and there are a lot of scenes that are funny. Ken is amazing in this film. Barbie is beautiful and amazing in this film. And again, Greta Gerwig nails it out of the park. This is a wonderful film for everybody to watch. Again, families can enjoy it and laugh, and the parents can get the hard points of it. Couples can go and laugh. And I saw something where a lot of, couples went, right? Excuse me. And the girlfriend, was, saying to her boyfriend or husband, fiance, whatever it was, did you get the message? And a lot of them be like, no, or a lot of them be like, I think this is stupid. And a lot of people were getting backlash for that, because they'd be like, oh, you're gonna leave your boyfriend because of this or that. And it's like, again, people can have their own opinions, but this is really not a hard film to understand. Again, Greta Gerwig puts it in front of you, and especially with that monologue, she pretty much explains what this film is about. And again, if you get offended from it, I don't know what to tell you, but I think you need to look in the mirror, all right? You need to reflect a little bit. If you don't like this film, that's perfectly fine too. I like this film. Again, I think it's a great film, and I would recommend everybody to watch it. Whether you're in any part of the world or any person, whatever. Excuse me, but I highly recommend this film as well. With that being said, we're hitting about the 45-minute part, which is probably around the perfect time to start slowing down, kicking back, and ending the bit of this movie. So, closing out a little bit, what I want to say, right, is went over the whole movie, went over everything, right? I want to say that maybe Barbie got snubbed a little bit at the Oscars, but this was a very hard year. There are a lot of other films that were easily as great. Obviously all films aren't on the same level. Oppenheimer is not the same as Barbie, It Kills of the Flower Moon or whatever, but there were a lot of great films this year. And, a lot of people were hoping for more for it. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but this film left a long-lasting impact on the industry and on a lot of people. And one of the most amazing things about this film was the creation of Barbenheimer. Who would have thought, as somebody that worked in the movies for, almost 4.5 years, working some of the biggest Marvel movies, some, the last Star Wars movie, several DC films, several big DC films, several many different films, right? End of sagas, end of trilogies, beginnings of trilogies. I've never experienced something such as Barbenheimer. And again, a lot of people were, it was a meme, but it was an experience that was like, it will never be replicated again. A lot of people tried that with Saw Patrol, right? It will never be replicated again. And I don't know what it was about Barbie and Oppenheimer, two very different films, two very different crowds, but yet these changed. Excuse me. These changed film, and a lot of people are going to try to replicate another event such as Barbenheimer, and I don't think it will ever happen again. I just think this was a natural thing that people created that somehow came about, right? And when this film first came out, a lot of things I saw about it, was not necessarily positive, right? And many people weren't taking it seriously. And the power of social media apps is insane, right? So again, I'm gonna go back to Elemental a little bit because I think it's a good side piece. Elemental came out, a lot of people didn't enjoy it because they didn't understand. They thought, again, it was mediocre at best, and Disney focused on the wrong things. Then we start getting to TikTok, and we start having people of immigrant parents, or people that are in interracial relationships, or people that have partners that came from somewhere else, right? And hey, is this movie about us? Okay, I'm gonna go check it out for myself. Holy shit, that's something I can resonate with. Man, this hits a lot harder now. Okay, yeah, that happens to me. That happens to my partner. That happens to us. Shit, this means a lot more. I would have never fucking knew that from ads or commercials or even the people of the movie talking about it, right? Because there are certain quotas or certain things people like to meet. Barbie, I knew nothing about it. I really knew nothing about the message. It looked like a fun family film, right? And then we get to TikTok, and I start seeing these monologues. And I start seeing people's views on it. And I start seeing a lot of men talking shit about it. Or a lot of women, even women themselves, not understanding it. And then I see a lot of people, families going. Or I see a mother and daughter going. Or I see a old mother and daughter, like a 50-year-old mother and a 50-year-old daughter and a 70-year-old mother going and explaining the importance of this. I think one of the ones that hit the most was, it was a grandmother, I believe, like 80, I don't know, older woman, and I just hit her so much, and that is the beautiful thing about it. Whether or not anybody cares about the film or your opinion on it, is these films will have an impact on somebody, or even if it, you may not think it has an impact, it probably will have an impact to someone depending on the scale. Again, TMNT. I had a fan that came in, side note a little bit, I had a fan that came in obsessed with it and stuff, and he was telling me his story about TMNT when Star Wars Rise of Skywalker came out. Look at this cool little pin, by the way. Star Wars Rise of Skywalker opening night. But when that came out, right, I had there was a pair of brothers that took a picture in front of the poster, and they told me that they took a picture in front of every poster since the first one came out because it was tradition of them to hit right in the feels, because me and my brother bond over Star Wars, and some we love, some we will always love. Again, something like that. A mother and daughter, they can enjoy a night out and come see this film and just have 3 hours out of their day or whatever it was to just have somebody tell them, I understand you. And that is the most important part of this film, to know that people aren't alone and people support you and people understand what you're going through. So again, overall thing with this film and with every other film that is going to come out, has come out, if you don't understand it, that's cool. You don't have to. But if somebody loves it, if somebody is talking about it and you want to be negative about it, just don't talk about it. I don't know why we got to spit hate and negativity in the world. What is the point, guys? Right? Again, both me and my brother always try to talk on this podcast about, we don't try to critique films in a negative way. We will critique films. Again, I've critiqued this film, not heavily, because there weren't a lot of things that I didn't enjoy about it. I enjoyed pretty much everything about this film. But even if I didn't like a film, I'm not gonna crap on it. Like I will be doing a best and worst list of 2023. There are a lot of films on there that are known to be not good films, right? But I'm not gonna say the director wasted their time or the actors and actresses wasted their time. No. Again, unfortunately, some things just don't work. And with that being said, Barbie. Barbie. This was a film that I don't think anybody was expecting. I certainly wasn't expecting this. And one of the last things I want to include talking about the film was some of the beautiful callbacks to famous scenes in sci-fi. Mainly the opening scene of Barbie, right? First of all, narration beautiful, but I love that Greta Gerwig pretty much uses 2001: Space Odyssey in the beginning. We have girls in raggedy, so to speak, dresses playing with these, wooden crappy dolls, right? And then you get this giant pillar of the original Barbie in her regular, it was like a black and white dress with the sunglasses. Huge, right? This is a callback to 2001: Space Odyssey. Apes playing in this, desert, rock formation, and you get the, I forgot what it's called, big cube rectangle thing, coming out. What? It's like, who would have thought that would have came in there? It came in and, I thought that was a great opening shot to it and the narration. And then we see all the different type of Barbies. And what I really enjoyed about it as well is, again, I never really, looked into why Barbie was made or whatever, never really thought much about it. But it shows how many different Barbie creations there are and how many different, versions there are now. And what I really loved about this film as well is they also picked fun at some of Barbie's fails, with one of the most hilarious ones to me was the pregnant Barbie. It's like, why would they make a pregnant Barbie? I understand, obviously people get pregnant, but obviously I guess it was a horrifying thing to create in doll form or something. But they showed the reject Barbies along, with Kate McKinnon's Barbie. And I don't exactly remember what all of them were, but it's just interesting to me that they threw that in there as well. And I also do want to point out how they also kind of show they use the Kens great in this film, right? Because obviously this film focuses pretty on Barbie. It's a Barbie film, right? But believe it or not, a large chunk of the film is about the Kens as well, which maybe a lot of people wouldn't have thought. Again, I didn't know what to expect coming in. But when the Kens kind of start to take over and stuff, we kind of see this very it's kind of like a simple way of thinking, a simple matter. And then when the Barbies create their plan to kind of, get the Kens to obviously, destroy each other, it's just ironic because a simple manner can take over this thing, but also destroy something. And again, that has been seen in history in a lot of different ways. And something as simple as that being shown in this film, beautiful message as well. I just want to give a round of applause to Greta Gerwig. Greta, don't know if you're watching this. If you are a wonderful woman. Thank you for watching Two Sons Podcast. Recommend us to your friends. If not, hope the message gets to you. If not, whoever's watching this podcast, if you know Greta Gerwig, let her know. Joseph from Two Sons Podcast says she is phenomenal. He enjoys her work. Speaking of Greta Gerwig, it's a shame that she wasn't nominated for Best Director. I would have liked to see her nominated. I just think it would have been a very moving thing for film, especially considering of how important Barbie was and how popular Barbie was. I think it's a little unfair she did not get directed. That's probably my hottest take. I'm not so sure about Margot Robbie in terms of Best Actress because again, there was a lot of good actresses this year. Again, I wish they could have made one more person in each of those categories and throw them in there, absolutely. But it's a shame that she wasn't nominated. And I loved some of the people talking about it. And what I really loved too was the I'm Just Ken number at the Oscars when he included Greta, Kate, I think America Ferrera, and Margot Robbie in the number. It was wonderful. Again, who doesn't love some Kenergy? And I love the Barbie and Ken stuff. I got a Barbie and Ken mug myself. I got the poster up. A lot of people might be saying, "Hey Joe, why do you got a Barbie poster up?" Because I can. Because I can. All right, enough with that. Enough with that. Look at that. I'm gonna make this an hour. I'm gonna make this an hour episode. We are hitting the hour mark. Excuse me. We're hitting the 55-minute mark. With that being said, excuse me. I'm sorry if you hear loud coughs in your ear doing this. I don't really edit these things. I'm not sure if I can actually edit this video. I'll find out. If not, oh well, it'll be like our other ones. With that being said, I want to say, I want to give my quick overall view. I also, let me know, guys, do any of you have Letterboxd or like rate these films on IMDb or other things? Because I don't. And I'm kind of thinking of getting it and like adding it to the podcast to let you guys know what I think, because I don't really get out and watch a lot of movies, but I'm thinking about going back and watching a lot of old movies to make this more of a film podcast. Like I watch Raiders of the Lost podcast. I love those guys. And I know they have their things, and I'm pretty sure they have it in their bios and stuff. Let me know if that's something good, because I would definitely love to rate them and, go back and make changes. But let's do the Two Sons podcast rating, and let's do our sons. So if I had to rate this film out of 10 sons, I'm going to give this film a solid 8.75 sons. Now, you might be saying to yourself, why the hell are you not just giving it 8.8? Why are you not giving it 9 sons? Reason for that being said is this film isn't necessarily something that resonates a lot with me. The message is there, and I understand the message, but it doesn't hit as hard, or it really doesn't hit, because it's not for me. But I will say, this is a phenomenal film. I enjoyed it so much, and I loved pretty much every aspect of it. And with that being said, it deserves a pretty high rating, which I feel 8.75 is one of the best spots to put it at on my book. With that being said, do I think it's fairly rated online? Let's see, we got a 6.9 on IMDb. No, that's not fair. I think it should be at least an 8 or a 7.5. 88% of Rotten Tomatoes. 80 on metric. 80 on metric, yeah. I mean Metacritic, sorry. Yeah, fair. 80% of Rotten Tomatoes, yeah, it makes sense. So again, I agree with some of them. I don't agree with the other ones. But let me know what you think, guys. I'm gonna put a question on this. I'm probably gonna ask, did you see Barbie? And if so, what did you think on it? Or again, was this the biggest movie of the summer? Do you think this has a, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think this film has a bigger meaning? Do you think this film has no meaning? Do you think this film is just, no, it's just a little film about Barbies? Or no, this is an important film that has fun and has messages? Did you participate in Barbenheimer? Did you go to the movies dressed in pink? Did you go out with your girlfriends? Did you go out as a family? Did you go out with your partners? Did you go out with, your daughters or grandmothers or mothers or whoever? Let me know, because movie theater experiences are one of the most important things, and the fact that I had middle-aged women come up so excited about this film, talking about it with me, makes my day. Again, customer service sucks. It just does. I'm being honest. But having those moments, it's worth it, because I can tell stories like this, and I can give opinions on this based on certain things like that, right? With that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming out to another episode of Two Sons Podcast. I want to welcome you guys back. On the next episode I will be putting out will be an Oscars episode. I was going to do it tonight, but it's looking pretty late. I'll probably upload it tomorrow. I'm actually going to see, hopefully I can get back into the movies a little time soon. I'll let you know some updates on that. Look for an updated logo. It's done. It's finished. Thank you to our old co-worker. You have been phenomenal. Thank you for taking the time, and thank you for putting it out. I will be putting that out probably this Friday on all the socials. I am updating the podcast on Spotify and stuff. It just has to update. I have to go in and see if it did, and hopefully it does. But with that being said, you can find us all over the internet. Also, don't know if TikTok is going away, so not sure if you can see us on TikTok in the future, but for now you can. Let us know what you think about that, if you want. If not, okay. But for now, you can find us all on the Two Sons Podcast. That is Sons with an O, not a U, because once again, we're two brothers. We're not two brothers right now, but he's here. But he'll be here next episode. Yeah? Alright. You can find us on Instagram, excuse me, Facebook, Twitter, also known as X, now known as X. I don't remember if I said Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all of your other podcasting platforms, all under Two Sons Podcast. That is Sons with an O, not a U, because we are two brothers. Expect some Star Wars episodes coming up very soon. We're going to be talking about the Bad Batch. The latest season has been awesome. Can't wait to continue talking about it. We'll give you some Oscars talk. We'll give you some 2023 talk. And we'll give you some Barbenheimer talk. Expect an interesting episode on that coming up soon. Let me know what you thought of Barbie. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Overall, guys, have a great evening. Have a great night. Have a great morning. Have a great afternoon. Have a great time. Have a great day. Have a great life. And overall, be awesome. And keep that energy. And stay beautiful. Good night. Goodbye. I'll see you later.